Hello, this is Dylan Raymond, and I wanted to take a few minutes to do a quick presentation and talk about the military to civilian transition process. That and also includes service members and their families, because quite honestly, sometimes we forget about them, and they're the ones that sacrifice, whether it's jobs, travel, to support that service man or woman that's on active duty. So they also need the support as well. So we're going to talk briefly about some things about the process and just embrace it, be open, and just figure out in your mind how you can actually improve your transition process, whether it's 1 day in the military or 30 days in the military. It's always good to get prepared. In fact, um, the best day to plant a tree, we say to plant a tree was probably 5 or 10 years ago. So I think the best time for a service member to really get ready for transition is the day that they start out in basic training. That day they should automatically think of an exit plan. Because my question to the service members are, what if you went back to the barracks and your sergeant, your lieutenant told you, thank you for your service, but we are no longer needed. What would you do? Well, we're going to jump right in. I don't want to beleaguer, but just a couple things to think about as we go through this presentation. And if you hang out with me to the end, I got a special gift for you. So hang out with me to the end. All right, here's a brief introduction about me. Is again, this is not about me. I've served in the military, couple combat tours. I'm an author, coach, and mentor, but who cares? Right now, this is about you. It's about getting you the tools, the resources, and the information that you need. So let's identify some of the transition challenges that most individuals face. And these conditions can complicate the to transition. In fact, I put mental health up at the top because, quite honestly, I don't think we talk about it or deal with it or help our service members to prepare for that. I mean, because they suffer with PTSD, depression, anxiety. I myself suffered with PTSD, depression, and I thought it was during my two combat tours, but it actually started in 9/11, New York City. I was recruiting in New York City, and that event helped me to bring on that depression and PTSD. Um, and veterans often struggle to translate their military skills and experiences in civilian job qualifications. And civilian employers may not necessarily know how or understand how a service member background and experience would fit into their company. A loss of structure and a sense of purpose. I mean, financial dynamics, going from steady income, different housing allowance, and being able to transition into the civilian sector and managing those finances. And then physical health. You got service members that come right out of service, try to get into a job, and usually that's not probably the best thing to do because they're still dealing with physical issues. Maybe they got hurt in the military, maybe trying to get their disability process, whatever that may be, get their family situated and settled down. And that physical health issue can be a problem down the line. The biggest thing also is that our limited beliefs. I mean, we think things are impossible. And you got to think about the things that you've done in the military while you was on active duty or in the reserve, where you took some risks and in some scary situations, but you did it. Apply that same principle, risk, rewards to your limited belief. I mean, thinking that you're inexperienced, no real world experience. Look, you served in the military a day or two, you've had some real world experiences, whether it's on the battlefield, whether it's in training, you have had some real world experience. The key is to how do you extract what you've learned in the military and apply it to a particular job. And I'll use the example, something simple as a food service person. Oh, you may say I'm just a food service person, but think about the planning, think about budgeting. How do you budget for 500? How much food do you need? How much preparation do you need? All of those things can fit into an organization. Yes, you may need some specific training, but you have some high level skills that you can transfer. Unrealistic expectation, realizing that you're thinking, hey, I was a colonel, I was a lieutenant colonel, I was a general, sergeant, that I'm going to immediately transition into a 500 person organization. And that may be true. That may not be true. In most cases, you may find yourself as an individual contributor, which is a dotted line in the military to an organization. So set some realistic expectations so you won't get frustrated, because that is what is going to get frustration. And then lack of job search direction. Where do you want to start? Think of yourself doing land navigation. You got a start point and you got an end point. And then you have points along the way that you would be making to identify if this is the right thing for you. So don't worry about that, or seek some coaching and some mentorship on that. So we're going to talk about how to navigate the military to civilian process. I mean, it is one of the biggest challenges for transition veterans, military, and family members, um, and helping them identify job opportunities that exist. And the second thing is understanding how your background fit into a civilian role. And that's something that is going to take time, over time. But the key is, if you're on active duty listening to this now, start preparing. Don't wait for somebody to tell you, hey, you're getting out this time. Start preparing, take classes, um, volunteer in areas that you think you may be interested so you can get some additional experience. This is the biggest thing. I'm going to spend some time on this, the mindset. Yes, you need a learner's mindset, but the biggest thing is the mindset, and I see it, it's us versus them, civilian versus military. They do it like this, and we do it like that. I'm going to tell you a little story of, by getting your mindset in the right place is going to help you. All right. Number one, you were a civilian, whether it's 17 years, 1 to 17, 18, 19, whenever you joined the military, you had habits, you had things that you did that was not pleasing. You were lazy. Maybe you didn't cook for yourself. You didn't own anything, but you was a civilian for those beginning years. Then you went in the military. And guess what? A 1 day, 2 day, 5 days, basic training, 3 years, whatever it took you to become that soldier, airman, Marine, Coast Guard, whatever it is that it took you the time to get qualified or uh, get enrolled into the culture of the organization. Now you take that 5, 10, 15, 20 years, couple it on 17 years of life, 17 plus years of life. And then when you get out, you may get out after 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years. So you are a better person, but you have to be able to tell that story. I was 17 and I was just a person that didn't know, didn't have direction, didn't have guidance. I joined the military. I was a rebel at first. Then I figured out after a couple of, um, you know, getting some consequences done, I decided, I'm gonna do this thing, and I turned out to be a pretty good service member. And now I'm preparing to offer to a company a much better, productive individual. But you have to think that. You have to get your mind right, and then the results will follow. Is it going to be easy? No, it's not easy, but it's doable. You've done harder things than this transition. The fear of the unknown, don't let the fear of the unknown slow you down or put you in a position where you're not going to do anything. Just execute a right face, move out smartly, as in marching. So the next thing, which we don't do well, is military service member, is branding yourself. What is branding? What are people saying about you when you're not in the room? What value or promise do you bring? What are your superpowers? What do you deliver? Are you a thought leader or a subject matter expert? That is your brand. I mean, think about it. And we have our branch and the name on there, but think about a McDonald's. You see golden arches, no name, but you know what? It's McDonald's. You see a Starbucks cup, nothing on Starbucks. You already know Starbucks. So what is your brand? You have to create your brand, and you have a brand. You are a brand within inside of a brand. Even though you're in the military, you're a service member, or you was in the military, you're a veteran, or you're a family member, you have a brand. What are you known for? Either you're going to create what you're known for, or you're going to let somebody else do it. So I say take charge of your brand and make sure your brand is polished and you're working to have that credibility and a person that'll get things done. And how do you get your brand in? Continue to network. Now, we don't really network, or it's not really taught in the military to network. Sometimes when you get up to the senior ranks, that's something that you tend to do. But one of the things I would encourage you to do, you have a great opportunity, especially if you serve with several different branches, you served in several different bases. Pick up one person that you can connect with, and you may be in Alabama and they going to Germany. Stay in contact with them, and then utilize LinkedIn. I tell you, I can't emphasize how much LinkedIn is a powerful, powerful professional networking platform. In fact, it's the primary search tool for recruiters. And remember, being on LinkedIn now is not just looking for a job, it is actually a career marketing campaign. And think of it as your personal website. LinkedIn search is your friend. When I was a recruiter, I used to recruit for a major international energy company, and I hired veterans. So if I wanted to find a Navy person, lived in Idaho, that played the tuba, I can go on, put some Boolean searches, search for that individual, and if there's anybody that fit that description, it'll pop up. And guess what? I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to talk to who they connected to and who they connected to. And that's how it works. So take networking serious. In fact, when I first started networking with LinkedIn, I had 137 connections. I told a buddy of mine, hey man, I'm up to 137. He laughed so hard that he cried and said, look, get 500 and then I'll know you're serious. So please don't miss out on the opportunity to utilize LinkedIn. It is a powerful tool. And don't wait till the day before you get off. Start doing it right now. Create a profile, connect with people, talk with people, find out the companies that work, find out the cultures, use that opportunity. The next thing we're going to talk about is the resume. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because the resume can just have you twisted up in a ball of knots. Just understand the purpose of the resume. I mean, you can take your resume, show it to 10 people, and 10 people are going to give you their opinion to change this, move that here, move that there. I'd say get one or two people, give you some feedback, but ultimately you own the process. You own the decision on how it's going to be finalized. And don't try to bring the tracking system where you apply. Don't try to beat that. The black hole is what I hear people talk about. And the best way to get around that is if you found a job, say Coca-Cola, it was a transportation director, go on LinkedIn, Coca-Cola, plus and director and transportation and logistics, and find out who comes up and start reaching out. Hey, I saw this job 58764, really interesting, and I just want to know Maybe give me a little bit about the culture. Who do you know who the manager is that's hiring for that position? What would you recommend I do to get a little bit more experience, to get a little more information about the position? Those are those are some tactical things that you can do to get around the black hole. You still got to go through the black hole, but you can do direct. So the resume is there to tell a story, what you've done. Don't tell a long story. Give me 3 to 5 years, but show me some quantifiable metrics, what you've done, what you created, what you improved, how much money you saved. It also tells me what you can potentially do. And resume does not get you the job. I say it over again. The resume does not get you the job. It actually piques interest to get an invitation for an invite. So just keep that in mind. And then the job honey search. Um, a lot of times we don't know how to do that, and a lot of times we do it like shotgun. Just take an aim, shoot, and wherever it lands, that is where I wanna be. But when I used to recruit the veterans, a couple of questions I would first ask them. Hey, they come up to me, I would say, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I get responses like, "Well, anything." Well, anything is nothing. So you want to be specific in what you're doing, saying or want to do. I have an idea. General, get me in the area, 4-digit grid coordinates. The second thing is, where do you want to work? Oh man, I just want to work anywhere. Anywhere, I'll take it. So I usually say, all right, let me solve that problem. Go right down the hall, you're hired, grab that broom, mop out of the closet, and you're hired. And they give me that look. I said, well, you said you want to do anything and anywhere. You allowed me to choose, so I'm gonna choose for you. That's what I need. And then the other thing is do some homework on the salary requirement. I mean, it's a lot of technology and some things out there that can help you at least get an idea, because that's a very emotional question when they ask you, well, what is your salary requirement? So get spun up, give ranges, and then maybe ask them, well, what do you have budgeted for the position? And the last thing is you want to start early. Don't wait till you're walking out of the base or driving out of the base a year or 2 or 3 years before you get started to develop your brand and what it is that you really want to do. And we're going to talk about soft skills. Hard skills is just, it is what it is. Technically proficient, a degree or certificate. That's hard things that we need. We must have that. And then we have the soft skills. You want to have the soft skills, work on those. The biggest thing is good communication skills. You need to be able to talk across, and you should have that in the military. Talking across different types of introverted, extroverted, engineer type, um, extroverted types. So being able to do that, stakeholder management, being adaptable, that is critical. That should be no stranger to you. And always when you're describing stuff, talk about how you are a problem solver, how you troubleshoot and you look for opportunities to be continuously improved in what it is that you're doing. So these are some things that, high level, that's going to kind of help you if you just kind of look at it. This gives you a more direct and understanding of the challenges that individuals face transitioning from military to civilian. Then let's talk about the art of communication. I've gone to job fairs. I'm bilingual. I speak corporate and military speak. You want to be able, we've gone to job fairs. I had hiring managers with me, and we're talking these acronyms, and my hiring manager's looking at me like, what is ETS and TDY and DD214? So be fair and know your audience. I mean, you should not and cannot and must not alienate 99% of the population when you attempt to communicate with them. And more importantly, when you attempt to get a job. Learn the language of the industry is not going to be overnight. Um, and also minimize the slang terminology, the war cry in the Army, we do who? No. And, I know it takes time because we've been gone through that. I'm 25 years in, and we've gone through this the yes sirs and the ma'ams and things like that. Try to relax that as soon as you can, because that is something that can throw a person off, especially a civilian person. They already have some thoughts in their mind. Maybe, you know, how do I disqualify this person? But you need to find out, how do you qualify the person? Okay, great. Well, we're coming up close to the end of the presentation, and these are two books that I wrote. The first one, Rucksack the Briefcase, that's a job hunting guide, service members and their families, available on my website, as you can see on the bottom of the slide here, or you can simply go to Amazon and order it. This was one that came out of 4 months of being unemployed, very painful. And my thing is, if I can share what I went through with those that are going through now, we'll be in a better position, helping our service members and their family members. And the one on the right is Rucksack the Briefcase for Realtors. And I wrote this book. I was led to write this book, not because I wanted to, because I had to 4 years ago, 2020, the pandemic. There were some changes in my company. They had to make some cuts and downsize and reorganize. So my position went. I was hiring veterans. They was trying to find another position, but quite honestly, veterans is what I wanted to do. That didn't work out. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead, go the entrepreneur route, and I'm going to bet on me. And that's what I did. First few months, I did a few leases, and then each year got better and better. This is my 4th year full time. I'll be taking the broker's exam. Um, and that's just how fast the business have picked up. And I say all this to say, it doesn't have to be real estate. It doesn't have to be entrepreneur. You can work for somebody. But what I wrote in this book is specifically to tell service members that you have what it takes to pivot at any time. Sometimes you don't pivot, you know, until the person gives you that command to say, "Hey, right face," or um, column right, or whatever the command is to move. So in my situation, I lost a 6-figure job. Well, I don't say I lost it, but it just put me in position to now pivot and recreate myself to do something else. And that's what you got, as we talked about the soft skill, adaptability, pivoting, to be able to pivot, to do something, put my head down and say, I'm gonna make this thing happen. I'm gonna give it all I got. So this will not only help you if you want to be a real estate agent, a realtor, an investor, or um, any other career, because I talk about the skill sets and the things that you've learned in the military and how it can help you along the way. So, I mean, you can get that on Amazon, you can get it off my website as well. But the biggest thing is, whatever you do, give it your all, and make sure you take uh, inventory of the skills that you bring to the table. And so for anyone that has stayed to the end of this presentation, I have a gift for you. I'm going to give you the first chapter of my latest book, and you simply have to go to www.dylanraymond.com/free chapter. Get the free chapter. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. I'm on social media to ping me and ask for clarification. And I ask that you connect with me here on my YouTube channel and social media. I want you to like this, share it, subscribe to the bell, hit the bell so that you get notices when I come on or upgrade or upload new information. And I thank you for hanging out with me. If you have any questions, reach out. Here's the ways that you can reach out. Here's the ways that you can find me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, website, and I'd love the opportunity to chat with you. And one of the things I did want to leave with you is, consider getting a mentor, getting a sponsor, because mentors will help you and guide you through that new culture that you're going to. Um, and I mean, just like some of the greatest athletes, they got coaches and mentors. If you get a mentor, make sure you own the process. I got a young man I mentor now. He owns the process. He calls, he sets it up. But when we meet, I tell him, this is your time. What questions do you have? What do you need? To assist him through the process. So I want to thank you guys, ladies, family members, for taking a look at this presentation. I know it was beneficial and valuable to you. I'd love to hear your feedback and continue to fight the fight, fight the good fight. All right. Have a great rest of your day.